What is up, my dude? This is Seth with the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Welcome back to Week 8 Underdog Plays. I'm joined by my co-host Jordan. We're back at you guys from Week 7 now to Week 8. If you didn't check out our show last night, check it out. It's our season-long show where we just kind of go over the slate of the week and just some starts and sits we like. And we also pick who we think is going to win, and we kind of count those wins up for win total. So check those guys out for any of your fantasy football needs or questions. We usually talk about everything, so check us out there as well. Jordan, how you doing, man? I'm gonna ask you first.
Um, First of all, hit the like button. Give us a subscribe on this YouTube channel. Hit the like button for us. Does a lot of good stuff for us. I actually am like happy right now. I know Seth is not happy. I hit my Cooper Cup play by 1 yard. He did not get his by one catch. Like sometimes, it's amazing like what 1 yard does. A lot of times we talk about how like the line doesn't move, like, oh, you can play it up to like, oh, it's not a big deal, it moved 1 yard. Well, sometimes, it is a big deal, it moves 1 yard. So
No, for sure. And I honestly, Jordan, like when I first saw you sent that yard total, I was like, okay, this is probably fine, but like for Cup to sometimes get 50 yards, like he needs like 6, 7 catches, just because of the routes he run and how the Rams move the ball. But lo and behold, Puka Nakua, just comes and takes the offense by the reins, and Cup was kind of left with the breadcrumbs. And you know what he did? The breadcrumbs, he got 51 yards. But guess what? He only got 5 catches, not 6. So I think on any other normal night, when I made these plays, if I knew Puka Nakua was going to play the same amount of snaps, I probably would have figured that, he was going to be the featured guy on that offense. And I would have played the yards and not the catches. Or I just wouldn't have played it at all, to be honest with you. So that's where I'm at. Not excited about that at all. I was more excited. It's interesting because I was more excited about that line than I was excited about these lines that I'm going to give out. So maybe that just says something that, I'm just, anyways, I can't, I'm getting sick too. So I'm not on my A game. I don't know if this night could get worse, to be honest with you.
it's funny also, Seth, like we're getting over being sick and you are getting sick, so we're like
Yeah.
on two opposite wavelengths here tonight. So but maybe we'll come together and be on one wavelength for this, for the plays here. So
Yeah, I mean, I feel like week 7 was a little rough, but I think maybe we hit a couple of them, but none of
it
them
was
really caught
probably our
together.
worst week, Seth. Like I know we haven't hit the show plays, but I feel like we've given out, like, I've given out 2 out of 3 winners. You've given out 2 out of 3 winners.
Yeah.
Like last week, I mean, someone had negative yards. I literally gave out a play and he had negative yards. So like, I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't get worse than that. So
Yeah,
and then got
it's
suspended. So it's like, well, like what are we gonna do here?
yeah, what are you going to do? So, I mean, we can start getting into it here. I know you got your first play queued up.
Yeah. So I got Jordan Love, your quarterback play for me. I don't do a lot of quarterback plays, but this line, 258.5, we got today. Man, I usually look at what it was before, but what it is now, but 258.5 passing yards for Jordan Love. Dude, there's not a whole lot I need to say other than they're playing the Jaguars. The Jaguars give up yards and bunches to quarterbacks, yards and bunches to receivers. I really wanted to use like a receiving prop here for the Packers wide receivers, but it's just too money. Like I don't know who to choose. Watson's like, it was really low, it was like 27.5. Reeds was like in the 50s. Dubs was like in the 40s. Like I didn't know who to choose, so I just went Jordan Love. I don't know. Like it could be Kraft, it could be Wicks, it could be anybody. He's gonna get over. I think he's gonna get 300 yards in this spot. So uh I think the over. This is one where I don't know if I think the yards, the line movement matters less with quarterbacks, just because
For
it's
sure.
easier for them to get chunk yards. So I think anywhere up into the mid 260s, I think is fine here. I think he gets 300 in this spot. So again, like just this is the best matchup for quarterbacks. It's one of the best, probably top 5 matchup for quarterbacks. Jordan Love's going to shred this Jaguars defense. So really, 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 really like this number here.
Underdogs even doing a thing where now it's called air raid. I think that might be the name of the receiver one, but it's basically they list a bunch of different quarterbacks, not all of them playing, but a bunch of them that they like the lines at, and the line's 220 plus, and you can either choose yes or no, and it gives you a certain multiplier. So I think I did like 5 or 6 QBs, and I just did it for like $1 or something just to try it out because I've never done it before. And Jordan Love, everything I've seen is that he's going to have, I think, one of the highest yard estimates this week. So I really like that line. Yeah, the Jaguars are getting shredded by it. You know, Jordan Love has proved he can have great games against bad teams, and unfortunately for you, Jordan, I think it's going to work out. But like you said, it might be nice to make some money along the way watching your team getting beat. But I'll get
Oh
into
yeah.
my
I mean,
first play this week. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, it's always like sometimes it's almost better. Like we suck. I'll take advantage of it. It is
Take
what it
advantage
is.
of it. Yeah. For sure. Okay, I'll get into my first play this week. So I got Kareem Hunt over, and it's basically just an anytime touchdown, just one touchdown. So yeah, this is a lower multiplier, but I figured I just kind of want to get like a play that like is going to for sure hit, and I think this is like an automatic one. If we look at the last 2 weeks, so Kareem Hunt's had played 3 games this year. His first game, obviously, was his first time back in a while. Or with a team, and he had 45% snap, 69 yards, no touchdowns. But 2 weeks ago, he hit 63% snaps, 102 yards, a touchdown. Last week, 78 yards on 22 attempts, 60s snap count, and 2 touchdowns. So I just think this is too easy for him to get a touchdown. The Raiders give up touchdowns. Their defense isn't that good. And if KC is doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're going to get in the red zone and within the 5 yard line at least a couple times. And from what I understand, the Chiefs are pretty content with Patrick Mahomes really not doing anything in terms of touchdowns to win. So I think Kareem Hunt is going to score one here. I think it's just too easy. Yeah, it's a low multiplier, but it would be nice to have one that I think you can for sure add to any play you have this week.
I think it's a really good spot for Kareem Hunt here. So, I mean, shoot, he did it. He got 2 in a bad matchup last week. So,
Yeah.
uh, I like that one a lot, Seth. I will go to my next one. I have a running back as well. So I have Javonte Williams here against this Carolina Panthers defense. At 63.5 is what we have on the screen. I just looked, refreshed, 62.5. I think it's been bouncing back between 61.5, 63.5 over the last 24 hours or so. So I just think this prop, like this Carolina Panthers defense is the worst, like against running backs. In our preview pod that came out yesterday, I talked about how Javonte Williams is my start of the week. The Panthers give up the most touchdowns to running backs, the most yards to running backs, the most fantasy points to running backs. Like it's the best spot possible for running backs. So I think this line's too low. I think it should be, I would play it all the way up probably into the 65.5, 66.5, the mid 60s. Again, just too low. So really, really like this spot for Javonte Williams. They're starting Bryce Young, I think the Panthers are. So like it even makes me like it more because I think the game script like could go in his favor even more. Like I could see Broncos getting an early pick six or forcing an early turnover, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, get up 14-0. Just keep pounding the ball. Javante's playing the most snaps out of all those running backs. So this is probably my favorite play of the week, I think, for me.
Books are not trusting Javante to get it done there. I just think it's too easy for him there. That also cues up to another running back, our third running back, my second. I have Jordan Mason at 80.5. Dallas is maybe the worst against running backs, I think, or at least I know they're top 3 for sure. They're the top 3 worst against running backs. Jordan Mason has had pretty good weeks, a little underwhelming, I will say, but I know every running back that has played the Cowboys this year has had good games. Mason's coming off a 58 last week and a 73 against the Seahawks on a low snap count, and then also 89 against the Cardinals 3 weeks ago. So I think this one's pretty safe at 80.5. I really like this one. There seems like Debo's maybe not going to play. It's kind of on the fence. and then Ayuk is obviously out with a knee injury. So the Niners are going to be down a few players here, and I think they're going to rely on their rushing game to kind of keep them in it. And I think 80 is a good number, and I think he's going to go pretty over that. I think it's going to be in the 90 to 100 range.
The last time we saw this Cowboys defense play, right, they got absolutely worked by the Lions. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
on
Lions
the
are a
ground,
different
like,
team, but
I mean, 100. I mean, they are, but they aren't. Like, I put the
yeah,
Niners run scheme up there with anybody, right? So
yeah,
like
that's
they're
true.
right there as like type of run scheme, like over the last few years. Here's my thing though. Last time we saw this with the Lions, they absolutely destroyed this Cowboys defense. Also, like Jordan Mason, his last 2 weeks has kind of been, he had that Chiefs defense that's nasty against the run, and then he got the one where he was on his way to 150 yards in that Seahawks game, and then
Yeah,
that was the game where he got hurt, didn't play. So I like this one a lot. Do we know
Parsons did not
Parsons?
practice
Yeah,
today
Parsons doesn't play. I think it makes their run defense so much worse, and it makes their team so much worse, which leads to a better game script for your running backs here.
for sure. Let's get into your next play here, Jordan.
Yeah, so I got Drake London over 66.5 receiving yards. They have this Tampa Bay defense. It's a clear pass funnel. They just gave up a big game to Lamar Jackson. I think he had 5 touchdowns. Obviously, it didn't go to Zay, the production, but it went to Bateman. It went to Andrews. It went to his running backs. You know, it just so I mean, the week before, I'm blanking on who they played the week before, but this is a clear pass funnel. They give up let's see here, they give up the 6th most receiving yards to wide receivers. They're up there with receptions, touchdowns. Like there's a clear pass funnel here. So I like Drake London a lot in this spot, 66.5. Just seems a little too low for me. And he's gone over this number the last few weeks. He's gone over, let's see here. So we got 63 yards, we just missed it, then 74, 154 his last 3 games. So I only worry about game script here just with the Bucks being down so many guys this week, but I like this spot a lot for Drake London against this defense.
Yeah, and I will say they already played Tampa Bay once this year, and London, that was the 12 for 13,
Yeah,
154, 1 touchdown.
yeah.
So, like, a repeat performance, like, why is his line at 60 yards? He surpassed that by 90 yards last time. You
Yeah, that's
know?
what I was gonna say. Like, that was the game, right? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought that was the big shootout game, but
Mhm.
yeah, that was his 154. Like, that was the game that went crazy in overtime, and yeah, that was a Thursday night game 3 weeks ago. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought. I don't know why that blanked off my head right now, but yeah, that's such a good spot for him. So
Definitely over 66 and a half yards. Way too low of a line. My last play this week is George Pickens at 61 and a half. We saw what George Pickens did last week with Russell Wilson at the helm. Hopefully, Russell Wilson doesn't actually regress to the quarterback we know he is. Um, and maybe he just keeps riding this high. And hopefully, that high is George Pickens, and he's just absolutely chucking him the ball. George Pickens had his best game of the season last week. He had 111 yards on 9 targets, 5 catches. And the weeks before that, he had a good week before that, but it was his first touchdown of the year. So that's something that's encouraging to see as a fantasy owner. But in terms of this prop line, it looks really good to me. Pickens has been, like around that number with Justin Fields, and I think maybe Russell Wilson's willing to chuck him the ball a little bit more, and it possibly looks like a little more accurately. And so it seems like he's going to be fitting into the playbook here a lot more. The Giants defense is just not good. So that's another reason why I want to pick on it there. So, yeah. And he's really the featured pass catcher on the team. There's really no one else besides maybe Freiermuth who's getting work. And so this line just seems too low to me at 61 and a half. Smash the over here. I think we're seeing 80 plus.
yeah, I like that, Seth. I think it's hard to like back this one up with data just because you're such a small sample size of Russ, with Pickens. But what we saw last week just tells me he's going to force him the ball. So, yeah, it's just hard because we haven't seen Russ a lot. But I do
Mhm.
I do like it a lot.
Yeah. Do you have any other plays you like, Jordan?
Yeah, a few leans. I'll just go by position. I put him by position this time. Jameis Winston over 222.5 against that Baltimore pass defense that like Baker did a lot of his in garbage time, but I don't really care if it's in garbage time, not garbage time. Like I think the Ravens get up early in this game, and then Jameis is slinging it from behind. He might throw a couple pick sixes, but that doesn't hurt his yardage total. So I like the Jameis over 222.5. I think it's pretty low for him in this spot, just based on what I know he's going to come out there and do. Running back, I got Saquon over 78.5 rushing yards. They got Cincinnati this week. Saquon's just been a beast. So
Yeah.
I think that one is fine. Same AJ Brown over 73.5 receiving yards. I think I like the
Yeah. I like
Saquon
that one a
more.
lot.
I think I like
Hmm.
Saquon. I don't know. It's close. I mentioned like Christian Watson earlier. His over 27.5 is really, really low for him. It seems low. It's just scary though. It's really risky, I think.
Yeah. It
Um,
is scary with that
and I
guy
almost
for
I
sure.
almost like feel like you'd rather take like his alt lines than his basic number. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh, for sure.
maybe
I'd
like
rather
a
play his alt
maybe
lines for
like
sure.
a Jordan Love 300 plus, um, a Christian Watson 50 plus, and then maybe like you just throw in like a low alt on something else from another team. Maybe like a Saquon like 60 plus rushing yards, just to kind of I don't know,
Yeah.
something like that. Um, I got Cedric Tillman over 36.5 receiving yards. He had a huge game, 8 for 81 last time. Jameis
Yeah. It's
going to be throwing the ball from behind. And he kind of fits that profile receiver that I think could get behind this Ravens defense. So,
yeah, and it's only 30 something yards what you're saying. So it's
yeah.
not like it's hard for
And
him to
he
do
seemed
that in
like
two
he was the
catches.
guy. The
And
last
the
one I have,
Ravens are not good
go ahead.
pass defense.
No, they're
Yeah, the
bad.
Ravens aren't good pass defense. So if you think the number one receiver on an offense on a team who's going to be down with a guy who absolutely chucks the ball isn't going to get, 30 something yards, I think you're crazy. So I like that one too.
Last one is DJ Moore over 57.5 receiving yards against this Washington defense. They won't have Jaden Daniels, so I think that I don't know. Like we'll see what Mariota does. I don't really worry about game script here. I think DJ Moore's very quickly turning into. I know he had a bad game last game, I think, against the Jaguars in London, but I think him and Caleb Williams starting to have a connection. I think off the bye week that should help a little more too. So I think that's
Yeah.
probably my least favorite. Honestly, I don't know if I had to rank like my leans. I think it'd be Jameis Winston, Saquon, Tillman, or no, AJ Brown, then Tillman, Watson, Moore. I think is how I'd rank my leans.
Yeah, no, that's a good list for sure. Do you want to come up with an official pod play here for this
Yeah.
week?
What's your
Um,
favorite one of
well,
yours?
my favorite one is probably besides it's probably the Pickens one besides the anytime touchdown Kareem Hunt, just because I think it's a little more obvious. But maybe something with a little more juice is the Pickens one. I really like your Drake London play. That's one I really like of yours.
See, it's funny because I think that's my least favorite of the three.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyways, but I mean, yeah,
Yeah, we can go
whatever
with
you
that one.
think too.
My favorite's the Javante. So you want to go the
Yeah, let's do
Javante,
Javante. Yeah,
Pickens, and then what do you want? You want the London one?
yeah. Let's do the London one. Yeah.
Okay, so we got Javante Williams. I'm gonna place this right now. So I got Drake London over 66.5 is what it is right now. Javante over 62.5 rushing yards. And then let me plug your Pickens in. Pickens is what did you have the number at, Seth?
Yeah, 61.5.
It's 58.5 right now.
Ooh.
So is Justin
Usually that
Fields
makes
gonna
me feel
start?
good.
That doesn't yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Um anyways, it might just be people buying off the under just based on the one game sample size and people
Mhm.
thinking that not believing in Russell Wilson, but he's just gonna force him the ball. So Okay, so that is our play right there. And so we have George Pickens over 58.5 receiving yards, Drake London over 66.5 receiving yards, and Javonte Williams over 62.5 rushing yards. That will be our pod play for week 8.
Yeah, all right, guys. Thanks for joining. If you guys want to go to Underdog to follow us on our plays there, you can also use lines at other places. They just might be a little bit different. But if you want to use our code DUDES, that'll match you up to $100 there. They're doing a
I
ton
think
of
it's 1,000,
promos.
Seth. I think it's
It's up to
1,000 actually.
1,000 with our
I think it's
code.
up to
Okay.
1,000.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. Put 1,000, get 1,000. But they're doing a lot of NBA promos right now. They're also doing tons of NFL ones I was talking about. They have a quarterback yards promo where it's all these are all boosted. They have a receiver one, and they also have a running back touchdown one. So that all those are pretty cool if you guys want to check those out. They also do some different fantasy lineups, and they do some like best ball drafts for the week. So if you guys want to check those out too, I know we haven't really done any of those. But if you guys want to check those out, use our codes. They'll deposit up to $100. Thanks for joining us, Thanks for joining us this week, guys. Let's make some money and bounce back. See you later.
This has been another episode of the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Remember to rate, review, and follow. For more information, go to www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. And remember, we are sorry for absolutely nothing.